So friends, the month of June started with Donald Trump being convicted of 34 felony crimes he committed to try to steal the 2016 presidential election. And the month of June ended with a rocky debate performance by President Joe Biden. You know what, friends? When we get knocked down, we get back up. We keep on fighting. We rise to the occasion. And that is exactly what we're going to do. Because justice matters. Friends, here's a short recap of the legal stories for the month that was June 2024. So friends, there are more than 250,000 unsolved murders in this country. That's more than 250,000 families who lost a loved one to violent crime. Families who sit by the phone waiting for a call from a detective saying, "We've got to break in your loved one's case." And friends, let me tell you, those calls almost never come. But there's actually something we can do to bring help and hope to those families. It's called the Homicide Victims Families Rights Act. And friends, this is a call to action. So friends, the month of May started with Donald Trump being found guilty of 10 counts of criminal contempt of court. But justice was not done with Donald Trump, because the month of May ended with a jury convicting Donald Trump, finding him guilty of 34 felony crimes. So friends, now that the verdict is in Donald Trump's New York State prosecution, I want to go back to something that happened early on in the trial, during jury selection. Remember how there were some Republicans who were celebrating, gloating even, when they learned that juror number 2 had made it on to the jury? Why were they celebrating? Because during jury selection, juror number 2 told the judge that he gets some of his news from Truth Social. And yet, juror number 2, together with the other 11 jurors, unanimously convicted Donald Trump in a New York minute. So what should our main takeaway be? So friends, as Donald Trump's sentencing date approaches, his deny everything strategy might actually help him pave his own way right into a jail cell. Well, friends, it looks like House Speaker MAGA Mike Johnson and Representative Yammering Jim Jordan have decided that their full-time job as legislators will be to obstruct justice. So friends, today, a federal court judge ordered Steve Bannon to report to prison on July 1st to begin serving his sentence. Steve Bannon, meet accountability. So friends, as Donald Trump vows to use his presidential powers to seek revenge on his enemies, President Joe Biden chooses the rule of law rather than using his presidential powers to help his son out of a jam.
So with that, let me introduce not only a legend and an icon, but a democracy warrior, Bob De Niro.
I've learned so much from Donald Trump.
Well, friends, Donald Trump may have sat for an interview with a New York probation officer, but if we care at all about the integrity of American elections, Donald Trump better not get sentenced to probation. So friends, let's compare how folks responded to the criminal prosecution and conviction of Hunter Biden with how folks responded to the criminal prosecution and conviction of Donald Trump, because it will tell you everything you need to know about who values the rule of law and who doesn't. So, friends, the prosecution of Hunter Biden drives the final nail in the coffin of Donald Trump's claim that he, Donald Trump, is being politically persecuted, and it also defeats and debunks yammering Jim Jordan's incessant claim that the Department of Justice is being weaponized against Republicans. Well, friends, it looks like District Attorney Fani Willis is taking a shot at getting Donald Trump's Georgia State RICO case back on the trial track. Well, friends, Donald Trump returns to the scene of the crime and is warmly received by congressional Republicans, including some of his own criminal associates. So, friends, we all see the train coming, and we all see democracy stuck on the tracks. The only question is, what are we going to do about it? So, friends, convicted felons generally can't serve in the U.S. military, but we're going to potentially allow a convicted felon to be commander-in-chief of America's armed forces? Well, friends, New York's highest court just shot down Donald Trump's latest attack on the constitutionality of his gag order. So, friends, Donald Trump's lawyers just can't stop getting indicted. So, friends, in a Florida courtroom on Friday, Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Cannon will, in substance, put special counsel Jack Smith on trial, taking up the issue of whether Jack Smith should even be allowed to prosecute the man who gave her her job, defendant Donald Trump. So, friends, just as Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Cannon was meandering through some litigation in Donald Trump's federal case down in Florida, we learned that two of her fellow federal judges in Florida had advised Judge Cannon not to preside over Donald Trump's case. So, friends, special counsel Jack Smith just filed a new motion with Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Cannon, imploring her to impose a gag order on You really think gag orders are sufficient to protect the American people from Donald Trump's incessant violence-inducing rhetoric? So, friends, Donald Trump just gave an interview, and he said that famous comedian Joan Rivers voted for him in 2016. Thing is, in 2014, Donald Trump is a liar, a con man, a grifter, and a cheat, and he will lose come November. So, friends, it's becoming painfully obvious what Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Cannon is doing. She is trying to intentionally avoid, perhaps even nefariously avoid setting a trial date in Donald Trump's federal prosecution down in Florida. Well, friends, New York State Court Judge Juan Merchan just ordered Donald Trump's gag order lifted in part. Can witness threats be far behind? But friends, there is a silver lining to this one. Well, friends, there she goes again. Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Cannon just granted Donald Trump's request for yet another unnecessary evidentiary hearing. You know, I would say Judge Cannon has slowed Donald Trump's
Florida prosecution, his Florida case, slowed it to a crawl. But let's face it, with her refusal to even set a trial date in the case, she's brought it to a dead stop. So friends, could you use some good news on the accountability front? Me too. Well, the Supreme Court just refused to stop Steve Bannon from having to report to prison on July 1st. Well, friends, the Supreme Court just threw Donald Trump and some of his fellow insurrectionists, his foot soldiers, a lifeline. Let's talk about that, because justice matters.
It's for sure. Justice matters. Justice matters.